I'm David Cantrell, the OSEP Deputy Director, and it's been really exciting to see many of you and meet many of you in person. Last couple of years, of course, our conference has been virtual, so we're really excited to be here in person this year. So let me give a little context for this next video you're going to see. One of our incredible advocacy advocates, Judy Heumann, passed away this past March. And 6 of my colleagues from OSERS and myself, we recorded a short tribute video in her honor. So it's my pleasure to show you this video. It is about 10 minutes. So please stay in the room, and after that, I will turn it over to Johan, and we'll hear from these incredible young adults. So with that, let's hear the tribute to Judy Heumann. Thanks.
Remembering Judy Heumann. Glenna Wright Gallo, Assistant Secretary, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
I am honored to serve as the current OSERS Assistant Secretary, a position Judy Heumann held for 8 years. Judy was known worldwide for her tenacious advocacy on behalf of people with disabilities, relentless, unapologetic, and with a sense of urgency. Her actions forced desperately needed conversations and resulting actions of school leadership, organizations, governments, and our country as a whole, and did not allow us to be complacent or accepting of status quo. I'm pleased to share OSERS colleagues' heartfelt memories and thoughts on Judy's life as an advocate for all people with disabilities.
Valerie C. Williams, Director, Office of Special Education Programs, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
What leaves me in awe of Judy was how she continued to forge new intersections of disability with the American experience. Judy did not believe that living in a wheelchair was a tragic event, but that the tragedy occurred when society would not allow her to lead her life as she intended. Judy led her life to the fullest, and in her 70s introduced herself to younger generations of Americans as social activists by being an author, actress, and podcaster. We are so appreciative of Judy's life and her willingness to spend almost all of the 1990s with us in OSERS.
David Cantrell, Deputy Director, Office of Special Education Programs, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
When I think about Judy's impact on all of us, she really exemplified the quote, "A life well lived is a tribute to us all." Judy had to fight for her rights and regularly got into good trouble in order to live the life that not only she wanted, but on the behalf of others with disabilities. Judy was a transformative civil rights icon who went from leading discussions at the local community level to serve as the Assistant Secretary here at OSERS, then continuing to positively impact the lives of individuals with disabilities across the globe. We owe her great appreciation, and we can honor her legacy by continuing our daily work and advocacy on the behalf of children and youth with disabilities. Thank you, Judy.
Carmen Sanchez, Education Program Specialist, Research to Practice Division, Office of Special Education Programs, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
I had the opportunity to meet Judy Heumann twice. The second time, she told me to put in my contact information in her phone so that she could call me to discuss her ideas for the parent centers. That call never came, but I would have welcomed it even if it had come at 2 a.m. Judy's legacy as a tireless and fierce advocate is rooted in her deep interest in people and the myriad ways we show our humanity beyond the binary notions of ability and disability. Equity, diversity, and inclusion were not buzzwords to Judy, but the very essence of her being. All of us here in this room have benefited from Judy's advocacy and the legacies of many other champions of children with disabilities. So, how can we best honor Judy? I think it's by supporting each other when we feel too tired to keep going, by seeing in each other our common humanity, and by keeping the faith that together we can make a more inclusive and equitable world that encompasses our wonderful diversity. So here's to Judy Heumann and her enormous contact list.
Greg Core, Division Director, Monitoring and State Improvement Planning Division, Office of Special Education Programs, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
Judy was an unbelievable path breaker in the disability field. She broke down barriers, not only for herself, but for others who followed. She was truly the mother of disability rights. Judy once said, "If you don't demand what you believe in for yourself, you're not going to get it." I had the distinct pleasure and honor of working with her when she was OSER's Assistant Secretary during the Clinton administration. Judy cared deeply about the work and refused to take no for an answer. As a staff member, you had to be prepared for Judy to call or wheel down to your office at a moment's notice to ask about an issue that had bubbled up. Judy was warm, generous, and most of all, genuine. But she could also be tough and unrelenting when it came to ensuring that a person with a disability was afforded their rights. Judy was fearless and never hesitated to speak truth to power. She courageously confronted authority, calling out injustices and demanding change. But Judy was always positive, even when confronted with a serious issue. That's because she always saw not just how things were, but how things could be. The final time I saw Judy was about this time last summer during OSER's Peer Recognition Awards ceremony, where she gave an inspirational talk. I stayed afterwards just to say hi. As she always did, Judy smiled and immediately asked about my family. She had a way of making you feel special. She asked for my phone number and promptly sent a text message asking for pictures of my kids. Showing that personal interest in you as an individual was Judy's hallmark. She seemed so alive and vital the last time I saw her. Little did I know that 6 months later, Judy would be gone. Judy was a true champion who did great things. The world is truly a better place because of who she was and what she accomplished.
Lisa Garove, Management and Program Analyst, Policy and Planning Staff, Office of the Assistant Secretary, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
Judy was a friend to all, and she was my friend. We met in Berkeley when she and my ex-husband Bob were working at the First Center for Independent Living. Bob and Judy were born on the same year. We shared marches, the National Council on Independent Living, the Capitol Crawl, Senate hearings, Deaf President Now, signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act. We also shared the same apartment building that at the time was not accessible, and the same doctor. Her office was not accessible. Guess what? They're accessible now. Weddings, births, and sadly goodbyes. She told me where my son must be placed in early intervention and kept asking if I was dating. I'm 100% confident, without a doubt, that Judy would want each of us to press for transformative change, hold ourselves and others to it in both our personal and professional lives. It can be risky. It is necessary. I miss her.
Larry Wexler, Division Director, Research to Practice Division, Office of Special Education Programs, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
In Yiddish, a mensch is a person of integrity, morality, dignity, a person with a sense of what is right and responsible. To be a mensch is to be supportive, to be a friend, to be calm in troubled times. Judy Heumann was a mensch, although I can't say she was always calm in troubled times. I worked with Judy for 8 years during the Clinton administration when she was the OSER's Assistant Secretary. Other tributes have recognized her for her achievements, which were legion. I'm going to take a different tact. I used to travel with Judy to conferences and meetings, which gave me the opportunity to listen and learn. It was a disability policy education for me. However, While that sounds a bit glamorous, the reality was that when Judy traveled, she always visited a school and was on a tight schedule. My glamorous job during the visit was to lean over her wheelchair multiple times and say, "Judy, we have to leave right now." She would smile and ignore me. It was a dance we did because when Judy got around children in general, but especially around children with disabilities, she became incandescent with joy. She literally lit up, smiling and conveying the message to those children that they could grow up to do anything, to be anybody, to dream big. Judy was a dreamer, but unlike most people, her sheer force of will transformed those dreams into reality. Her work was her passion. We miss you, Judy.
Katie Neese, Deputy Assistant Secretary, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, U.S. Department of Education.
I first met Judy in person in 1991 when Senator Harkin traveled to the original Center for Independent Living in Berkeley, California, to celebrate the first anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. When Judy joined the Clinton administration as OSER's Assistant Secretary, I had the great fortune of working hand in glove with her on what became the 1997 amendments to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Thanks to Judy's leadership, we were able to secure legislative language that affirmed students with disabilities must have access to the general curriculum and that their academic progress needed to be measured and reported just like their non-disabled peers. Today, more than 70% of students with disabilities leave high school with a standard high school diploma, representing a nearly 20-point gain from the early 2000s. On a purely personal level, Judy helped me make many decisions about what I should do with my life. I miss her early morning and late night phone calls and her constant support. Maya Angelou sums up Judy for me when she said, "If you're gonna live, leave a legacy. Make a mark on the world that can't be erased." I certainly will continue to do everything I can to ensure Judy's legacy will never be erased.
Thank you, everyone. Judy was certainly an incredible inspiration to all of us. So once again, I'm David Cantrell, the OSEP Deputy Director. It's a pleasure to be here. Yesterday and today, you participated in a variety of sessions, each designed intentionally to focus on improving outcomes for infants, toddlers, children, and youth with disabilities, and of course, their families. Improving outcomes is really why we're all here, isn't it? When I think about my personal career, as I began as a special educator, I moved to an instructional specialist, school administrator, and then finally a director of special education and student services. I always had one goal. You know what that goal was? Improving the outcomes of the individuals, the children and youth and disabilities that I was working for, that I was advocating for. And that's exactly what we're all doing in this room, isn't it? Our goal is to improve outcomes as much as we can, whether it's writing a memo, whether it's conducting a monitoring visit, whether it's working with small groups of students, whether it's training teachers. Our goals are, we all have a common goal, to support the needs of infants and toddlers and youth with disabilities and their families. So you may wonder, what do we do in OSEP to help you with your goal of improving outcomes? We have these conversations all the time. What do we need to do differently? What do we need to improve upon? And what successful strategies have we implemented that we need to continue? So let me go over some of the things that we are doing to support you. We're developing relevant guidance that is based on national trends, challenges that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Guidance such as discipline, early childhood, military-connected youth, and our most recent guidance, general supervision. We're offering a range of discretionary grant programs to include Early Childhood Equity Personnel Center, a variety of personal development programs, model demonstration, technology, and many of our incredible technical assistance centers. Many of our colleagues are here today as well. We provide one-on-one individual support to our state directors of special education, as also our program directors of Part C programs. And lastly, we collaborate with many of you in this room to develop activities that address many of the challenges currently facing all of us across the nation today, such as personnel shortages, equitable access to services, retention of our special education leaders, retention of our special educators, related service providers. But specifically, I'd like to thank our organizations with whom we collaborate on almost a monthly basis, or at least every 2 months. Those are the National Association of State Directors of Special Education, the Infants and Toddlers Coordination Association, the Council of Administrators of Special Education, Council for Exceptional Children, and finally, the National Disability Rights Network. Many of you are in the room today are attending this conference, and I can't underscore our support, our value that we have for your partnership and ongoing collaboration. So, in keeping with Judy's legacy in mind, this next panel showcases the future of self-advocacy and empowerment. We will be hearing from young adults who are part of the Youth Leadership Council in Region A of the OSEP-funded Parent Center. They share their journeys as young adults with disabilities, how they support youth today in their present jobs, and how they work to change systems to be more responsive to their needs. I know you're looking forward to hearing their individual stories. And with that, let me introduce Mr. Johan Mora Valverde, who will moderate the panel. Johan.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I really do appreciate that you chose our session versus the other sessions at this time. I'm just kidding, you didn't have a choice, did you? My name is Johan Mora Valverde, and I am the Youth Engagement Coordinator for the SPAN Parent Advocacy Network, the PTI in New Jersey. And I have the honor of being joined here with panelists that are not going to only speak on their experiences, but as well as what it means to be part of a council, a youth leadership council, that is part of NEPAC, Region A, the Navigating Excellence Parent Center Assistant and Collaboration Team. In that role, I am also the Youth Engagement Coordinator for NEPAC, and another hat that I've recently, because many of us have many hats in our closets, right, when we do our work. I am also part of the CIFR team, the Center for Parent Information and Resources, as their Research and Information Coordinator. So before we even get into the panelists, I know it's been 2 days of data, terminology, a lot to learn, and it can get pretty exhausting sometimes, but it is important and essential. But I expect this to be a refreshing cup of water as we hear stories from these panelists. But before we do that, let's go over just a little bit more data. So I wanted to just highlight the infographic you may see around you. It's either in the room, it could be on your tables. Don't look at the bottom of your seats because there's nothing there, so look around. And I want to highlight, really it's fitting, that one of the top things on this infographic, titled Parent Centers in Action, is a focus on youth. And I really want to applaud the parent centers, everyone in the room who's had a role in this, but in 2021 and 2022, the total connections parent centers had with youth or young adults with disabilities is 75,839, which meaning grew by 37.6%. It's astonishing, yes. And this is not a typo. In-person trainings grew 190%. So definitely, that applause is to you and everyone in this room who has done that work. The other I want to highlight is that parent centers inform and train parents of children with disabilities to be effective advocates for their children, with 615 and 739 plus parents attended trainings, virtual and in-person, and 456 and 645,000 parents received individual assistance. So really take this in hand if you see it around you. If not, you can find it on the www.parentcenterhub.org, where we would make it readily available for you to download and share. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just speak a little bit of what the topic of today is, and that is the Region A Youth Leadership Council, the YLC. So Region A is made up of 26 parent centers, whether it's PTIs or CPRC, which is the Community Parent Resource Centers, as well as the Parent Training and Information Centers. And youth, we believe, are the experts in their own lives. Now, the leadership in Region A has shown us that collaboration is truly key in the work that we do. They've met monthly, they've also collaborated at conferences, events, and you'll see many of them spending many a cup of coffees in the hallways that we're roaming today as they're catching up with not only those who are their peers and colleagues, but has become their friends. So our vision 2 or 3 years ago is how do we create those relationships with the youth and young adults at our centers? How do we bring leadership from these young adult professionals to also collaborate and create the relationships that our leadership at the centers are currently holding and cherishing? That's easy to say, but not always easy to do, right? Promoting and supporting youth voices and involving youth, especially those who face discrimination, are marginalized because of their gender, race, ethnicity, disability, or LGBTQ status, is essential to the work of the parent centers. So to assist the parent centers and NEPAC's Region A in the work in collaboration with real transition partners, the RSA-funded Transition Parent Centers serving Region A, NEPAC developed the Youth Leadership Council. So I'm happy to speak just a little bit more on the representation. In the last 2 years, we surveyed them this spring for the first time. We've had a representation of more than half of the parent centers in our region represented through the membership. More than half of these Youth Leadership Council members identify with a disability. More than half are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and about more than a quarter of the membership are mixed race or Hispanic or Latino or Latina. We have gone through various workshops, professional development, and brought national centers to not only speak but train these young adult professionals. And we continue to do the work all the way leading us to today, as I am going to go ahead and start off with our first panelists, and then they're going to go down the line to introduce themselves. So go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Mockley, and I'm honored to be here today. I work at Ripon, a parent training center in Rhode Island, as an IT specialist and co-facilitator of Youth Advisory Panel.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dylan Campbell. I'm from Maine, and from Maine Parents Federation, and we're our state's Parent and Training Information Center. And with that, I am the youth coordinator and parent trainer.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emily Bolland. I work for Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center as their youth and student educator.
Hello? Good afternoon. My name is Julio Vega. I work at HUNE, a community parent resource center located in the heart of North Philadelphia. And I am the lead youth mentor in the HYPE program, HUNE youth program.
Thank you. Now, 4 of these panelists have been with us since the very start of the YLC, which was early 2021. So let's hear from them now. The first question I have for them is to talk about your experience as a young adult with a disability and how you were brought into your role at the Parent Center.
So, as a person living with autism, my journey at Ripon began in high school. In 2007, my mom contacted Ripon, actually, and it was about like what's next, because I was a junior, going to senior year and about to graduate. And Ripon put us in contact with the Northern Rhode Island Collaborative Justice Employment Center. And it was there that they, I tried different stuff out, but they put me in contact with Ripon as an internship in October? Yeah. And from there, when I first started as an intern at Ripon, I knew I had found a place where I can make a real difference. And Ripon provided me the support, empowerment, and opportunities as a person with a disability. And I'm forever grateful for that. But outside of my work at Ripon, I also host a podcast called The Nathan Mockley Show, where I explore life with autism, interview entrepreneurs and small business owners in Rhode Island, and focus on other interesting topics like personal development and technology. But through the podcast, I strive to provide a platform that not only allows me to express myself, but also serves as a source of inspiration and educate for individuals.
Thank you, Nathan.
So hi everyone, hopefully you can hear me okay. But years before I got involved with Maine Parent Federation, my family utilized our Parent Center. My parents adopted 5 of their grandchildren with disabilities, and as you can imagine, this was a very real challenge. Quite literally, overnight, we were navigating every different system of care. In 2017, I began as an independent contractor in our youth coordinator position. At the time, I was in college studying biology, and I wanted to change the world. But my organic chemistry and calculus grades told me otherwise. But growing up, I struggled with my mental health. It's still hard to talk about, and it's still stigmatized. But through the work that I initially started to support my siblings, I was able to find myself. I've even begun to question if it's really anxiety or depression I navigated life with, or if it's ADHD and I've just gotten really good at masking and building systems for myself. But for me, understanding my neurodiversity is still an ongoing process.
Thank you, Dylan. And let me go ahead and just repeat the question before Emily continues. The question is, talk about your experience as a young adult with a disability and how you were brought into your role at the Parent Center. Emily?
Well, I was born with a various amount of health issues, and I was a special education student. I was in birth to 3, and then I was a special education student throughout school, and then I eventually, I totally messed it up. Let's see. Oh. Let's see. I basically, oh jeez.
You're doing great, Emily.
Thanks. I met my current boss at Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center at my other job, Parents Mental Health, Connecticut Kids and Self-Advocacy Summit in 2017.
Thank you, Emily. And I would just add on that Emily also has not only brought a role into her Parent Center, but she also does great work with the Youth Advisory Board Council at CPAC, the Parent Center at the PTI in Connecticut. And that council was actually one of the inspirations for the Youth Leadership Council. So she's truly a pioneer in this work that we're doing. So thank you for that, Emily and Julio.
Hello. My story started when I was born in Puerto Rico and moved to North Philadelphia at the age of 2. I was abused mentally and verbally towards the age, when I made it to middle school. At the age of 12, I was introduced to drugs and violence at school and witnessing things being passed around. As a person with disabilities, I always wondered why I was put in smaller classes and doing simpler work than other students in the bigger classes. My classmates would refer to us as LD as a joke and be embarrassed to be in the classrooms. There were times I had to defend myself and put my hands up because I was different. At the age of 15, after a meeting in school, I found out I had autism. I went through an identity crisis and started asking questions for it to eventually bring me down to depression and isolating myself from everyone. I would spend most of my time alone and focus on my work rather than my friends and family. My story at HUNE started when I was still in high school. We had to complete a certain amount of hours to receive a cap and gown for graduation. I had simple tasks while I was volunteering. Sometime later, I enjoyed spending the time with the workers and made a decision to stay and become a student of the youth program. That day, my life changed forever when I was given permission to stay. I was able to meet people and build strong relationships with them. I was able to learn from my mistakes and better myself for the next challenges. I'm honored to be a part of HUNE because it has empowered me and made me a better person.
Thank you, Julio. And I don't want to speak for HUNE, but I believe that the honor is also theirs as well to have a young adult yourself, as well as the other parent centers here who have the honor of having these panelists working in their roles. And it also highlights the importance of as to why representation matters, but experience in representation makes the difference. Because we can't help the communities that we serve unless we are representative of our communities. Let me go ahead and move on to the next question. We would like to know a little bit more about your role. So Nathan, to start, what is your role at your center? And how has it evolved with your work?
Okay. So at Ripon, I've had the privilege to do many different things. When I first started as an intern, I was doing data entry and printed booklets out. And then on February 8, 2010, Ripon saw the potential in me and hired me as technology assistant. And in 2012, I got promoted to my current position, which is IT specialist. And during that time, I've not only developed my technical expertise, but I grew personally, professionally, and Ripon helped me because I was also going through school, college, and they worked with me with my work of being flexible and accessible to that for my school schedule and work schedule. So that was good support. And
can you speak a little bit about?
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
One of the many things I love about Ripon is that the work I do over there, and I get to be part of a team, a community that helps like-minded individuals. And so today, one of the things I do now is, in addition to IT work, is work with the Ripon's NEPAC work for youth and young adults. I'm part of the Youth Leadership Council. And this year, co-facilitating the Youth Advisor Panel, which is part of Ripon's statewide personal development grant work. And right now the project for the YAP is more for youth with reading challenges, and we hope to grow it soon to even more. And everything I've done so far is something I realize I wish I had in school, and so I like to be part of it to help it grow and help other youth and young adults show them that how they can be successful in life. One of the things I like to say now is I view my role as a role model for individuals living with disabilities. And if I can make a positive impact on just one person's life, I know I've done my work.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Nathan. Dylan.
When I tell you, I had to condense this question. So my official title is Youth Coordinator and Parent Trainer. But if you've ever worked for a nonprofit, you know that only partially describes the scope of work you're doing. So I manage my center's youth program, and I co-manage our parent training program. In 2017, I was part-time as an independent contractor, and then in 2019, I became a full-time employee in both the youth coordinator and the parent trainer position. Day to day, I create and design trainings and resources for youth, parents, professionals, and educators. I've always loved graphic design, so I'm grateful I get to use that skill, but I know they're grateful for it too. I work with policy leaders and I build community connections. It's been amazing, but it's really also given me outside opportunities as well. In late 2021, I started collaborating with the Maine Department of Education, Office of Special Services, and Inclusive Education. In 2022, I became one of two co-chairs for our Transition Maine initiative, hence the bottle. Also in 22, I received the AMCHIP, Association of Maternal and Children Health Programs, Ryan Colburn Award Scholarship. I'm excited for the future.
Thank you, Dylan. Before we move on to Emily, I just really want to highlight that Nathan is not only, part of the YLC as he sits here today, but when we speak about his experience and the role and the work that he's done, he started off as IT. And I think one of the things that we've done here at the NEPAC team is realizing that sometimes the young adults or the professional that you need to be doing your youth work and speaking on their experience are very much in-house, right? And just like Nathan supporting the IT, information technology, and coming in, we hear from the leadership at Ripon that little did they know that they had this powerhouse of an advocate behind the computer screens, behind the microphone, when really he just belonged right on the stage speaking through that microphone. So we just want to highlight that. And Dylan has been not only core for the YLC, but Dylan was actually the first person that we met with when we wanted to build this regional council to get an understanding of what exactly we can do for the young adult professionals in the region. In fact, out of everyone here, I'm actually the one who's been here less. I've been here less than 2 years. So the partnerships, the relationships were already there. We just had the answer, which is the council, which is really the glue and the bridge that brought these relationships together. So really just want to applaud them too. And Emily, I'm going to go ahead and just state the question again.
Okay, thank you.
What is your role at your center, and how has it evolved with your work?
My role is called the Youth and Student Educator, which is a young adult professional who works with disabled youth. Some of my duties include giving input to transition symposium planning committees, Connecticut Transition Community of Practice, and core team meetings, which is sort of fun in a way. I gave feedback and I give feedback on content and documents and manuals. I'm going to need help with the page. I also help run our Connecticut Youth Advisory Board meetings, research youth and parent-friendly content, short-form videos that can be shared to our social media, like our Instagram and our blog. I present at conferences and various other meetings from a youth and young adult perspective.
Thank you, Emily. Julio?
Hello? My role at my center is the lead youth mentor. I work with youth from the ages of 14 to 21. The skills I use are being sympathetic, service, and determined. I believe what this means is I am capable. Being in their shoes before, I understand what it's like to be without guidance. That's why I am determined and very hardworking when it comes to my youth. I'm able to implement check and connect when I have one-to-one conversations when meeting with the youth. And personally, I also wonder when the youth discovered they had a disability, how they reacted. Hopefully they reacted better than me. I am proud of attending multiple HYPE graduation ceremonies, and it still gets me how successful and how far these students have taken their journey.
Thank you, Julio. I'll take a moment here and speak about the workshops that these panelists have helped us not only be a part of, but also helped us to arrange to receive professional development in the past 2 years of the council. We've all been part of workshops thanks to the relationship we build in the region of the Youth as Self-Advocates, YASA. We've had YASA board members share their social, educational, and employment experiences living in our new virtual world. This was just a couple of months into the public health emergency, the pandemic, when everything was shut down virtually, and discuss what has and hasn't worked with them. We've also had these panelists and the other YLC members receive personal development from Eye to Eye National. The information sessions covered Eye to Eye National's mission and dedication to improving the educational experience and outcomes of every student with an intellectual disability, learning disability, or an attention deficient hyperactivity disorder, and how parent centers, youth transition coordinators can collaborate with their Neurodiversity Alliance Club. And the last part that we've all been a part of and we help develop and engage for our region is the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, ASAN. And we use the time to open conversations with the organizations about mental health to individuals with disabilities, normalizing mental health disabilities in the youth and young adult communities, and also equipping professionals, ourselves, with tools to create a safe and engaged youth community. And these panelists have all brought their skills and talents and questions to help develop these workshops, as well as bring it back to their center and use the tools that we received from these organizations. So the YLC also does professional training that we know in the parent centers the work can get pretty chaotic. There's a lot to do, a lot of quick moving parts. So we try to help fill the gap so our young adult professionals are equipped to do their job. So highlighting the Region A Youth Leadership Council, I want to ask the last question to highlight. Nathan, how does the Region A Youth Leadership Council, the YLC, empower you as an individual and a professional who identifies with a disability?
So The Region A YOC has been instrumental in empowering me as an individual and professional at Ripon. I have gained valuable leadership skills such as communication and teamwork. I see the YOC as a viable network of support and mentorship. It provides a platform for us to connect and collaborate with like-minded individuals through engaging interactions and exchanging ideas and experience of others. This network has played a crucial role in expanding my knowledge and amplifying the impact of my work at Ripon. The Region YOC empowers me by facilitating personal and professional growth, offering opportunities for advocacy, and fostering a sense of belonging within a supportive community. And with all this, I'm better equipped to contribute to the development and implementation of programs and initiatives that address the unique needs of young adults, youth and young adults with disabilities at Ripon in Rhode Island. I am grateful for this opportunity and its positive influence on my personal and professional journey. With that said, I would like to take a moment to reflect on my personal journey. When I was younger, particularly during the elementary and middle school years, my social skills were not strong. And I had a tendency to avoid conversations with people and would often withdraw from people, especially during family events and cookouts. I would tend to hide. However, working at Ripon and being part of the YOC for about a decade now, I've noticed something, a change, and my social skills have dramatically improved, and it allowed me to confidently address like a gathering of this size. And this growth has been unexpected but yet fulfilling, and it's inspired me to embrace this new role as a positive influence for others. And I was thinking about this last week. If I was going to tell myself, go back in time, my high school self, say I was going to talk to someone like this, a group like this, I would think I would be joking, right? I'd be like, you're crazy. But now it's something I want to continue to pursue. It's a dream that I never knew I had. And I look forward to future speaking opportunities. I was joking earlier with Dylan and Emily that this is like our practice session, or my practice session for like a TEDx talk. Yeah. I also want to mention something I forgot to mention at the second question. In addition to IT support and the youth stuff I do, in 2021, I was appointed co-chair of the Ripon Swag Team, which is a staff wellness appreciation group, and that we gather, we have events, and we have a monthly line to organize different stuff for appreciating staff and wellness at Ripon.
Thank you, Nathan. And before, Dylan, before you go, I am so happy that you feel that way and that you are volunteering yourself in front of all these people for future speaking opportunities. Because I must say, in the last 2 years, it was like pulling teeth to tell these young adults that, these professionals, of how amazing they are and how people need to hear their story. But as many of you know, the first step in even sharing the story is accepting who you are and that others will listen and the power behind that. So thank you, Nathan, for sharing that. And don't worry, those opportunities will come, so thank you. Dylan.
So for me, I think it's been the ability to learn myself and be myself. I have a fun job, and I know not all of you can say that. But if I were to describe this in one word, I would describe it as opportunity. It's opened doors and pathways. It's allowed me to build my professional skills. Like Nathan, I was awful. I couldn't do public speaking. I was in college, and I got up on stage and I blanked. And that was about 20 people, and now I'm looking at this crowd, and I'm proud of myself. But what I really want to take this time for and to mention is, as state leaders, I encourage you all to collaborate with your parent centers. They're already connected to the next generation of state leaders. You may even get a new employee, but not me. I'm not leaving yet.
Thank you, Dylan. Let me go ahead and just repeat the question. And so, how does the Region A Youth Leadership Council empower you as an individual and a professional with a disability? Emily?
Well, for me, being a member of the YLC is an empowering experience because I can share my ideas and center updates with a wide range of other people, and I love having a space to give my opinion on disability and disability-related issues in regards to disabled youth. And honestly, I was gonna, talk about this later, but I might as well start in right now. But I didn't know that I was gonna, do this line of work, but I'm glad I did because, like everybody else has said, my job is sort of fun because it's, I don't know, I get to just, because compared to what they were teaching us and what a disability specialist is like, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be really boring when I got out of school, and so far it hasn't been, so it's like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad that I can be the voice I didn't have when I was younger. Throughout my time with YLC, I have grown professionally and personally. Since being involved has expanded my network. It has opened my eyes to areas that affect the disability community that I never critically thought about on my own, like assistive tech or neurodiversity.
Thank you, Emily.
Being part of the YLC is a privilege I am able to share with others. Because of the meetings and the members of the YLC, it has made me a better professional that's capable of networking and sharing resources with others and also my center. It's something I'm proud of to be a part of. I'm also able to bring my input and experience of being a young Hispanic father with a disability. Having the opportunity to have my voice heard where it actually matters gives me a sense that I matter.
Thank you, Julio. We did not write this for them, by the way. So we did not tell them to say this about the YLC. Just in case you're all wondering. But no, the Youth Leadership Council has been an absolute incredible experience to really, it wouldn't have been possible with those joining us on. And we are represented with about 23 in the membership right now for the 26 parent centers, more than half that are represented. So we have stories that are individual, that are amazing, and the YLC, we are not only looking to expand in the leadership that we see here in the panel, but we're looking to highlight them even greater. And we're just, again, we just want to thank the OSEP conference, because when we decided to do this and highlight this, we did not know that we were going to end up as a panel, so we were rather shocked. But we are grateful, and we're grateful for those who has helped us, give us this voice. Even though we're a minute off, I do want to give time for the panelists to just, if you have any last minute thoughts, any thank yous, if anyone wants to, feel free, and then we'll wrap it up.
I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, and I'm happy to connect afterwards.
Sweet and short. Thank you, Della. And Julio, did you have anything?
Oh, I was just going to piggyback up on what Dylan said.
Awesome.
I want to thank OSEP for giving us the opportunity to speak today and have us share our stories. I want to thank Don Monaco and Johan Mora for giving me the opportunity to be a member of the YLC and being able to speak today. And finally, I want to thank Luz Hernandez. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here today. The amount of trust and patience you had with me over the years is unreal. Thank you for everything.